Hello and welcome to Celtic Down Under. My name is Laura and I'm joined once again by Liam for our latest World Cup preview. Today we are previewing Saudi Arabia, the second Group C team of these World Cup previews. Liam, how are you doing?
Good. Just a wee reminder, folks. Wearing a football shirt is not an endorsement of a country or their team. So let's just leave it at that.
And
uh,
all,
it, it,
all, all, all political or moral obligations and objections aside, it is a very nice looking top, I have to say.
well, it's funny you should say that because we were doing I do a wee sweepstake thing with my students every time there's a World Cup, and we were
Hmm.
drawing teams the other day, and one little girl came up to me and said, "Oh, Liam Sensei, I got Saudi Arabia. Are they any good?" I said, "Well, the kit's nice."
True, true. There is a slightly more not safe for work version of that story that I heard off air, but I think on second thought, having decided we were going to share it, we'll maybe leave that for the sake of the child involved. We'll
Well,
leave it.
we'll leave that for the uncut version once you and I've had once you and I've had a few shandies on the night England get knocked out, right?
Anyway, let's look at Saudi Arabia and what I
Mm,
thought we would do for this one, because I'm going to be honest, content for this video is lacking, guys. We do our
yeah.
research and we look into this, but I have to say, of all the teams that I've looked at, they are the one team that I just kind of felt it was even a slog to research them. Their chances of doing anything at this World Cup to me are not great. What do you think, Liam?
No, I mean there are groups at this World Cup that had they been drawn in, they might have had a chance.
Hmm.
For example, if they would have been in the group where Qatar were the top seeds, they've beaten Qatar quite a few times quite recently. Um, but obviously that wouldn't happen because you can't have two Asian teams in the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, they're just I look. They're the worst team at the tournament. Let's just be honest. They are the least likely to win this World Cup, according to the bookies, according to the stats, and according to what I've seen from watching them in the last couple of years. They were in Japan's group for qualifying, and to their credit, they topped the group. Right? They did
Yeah.
top the group, but a lot of extenuating circumstances go into that. Right?
Hmm.
Australia basically did not turn up when they played them.
Yeah.
Japan underperformed, but still got the results they needed. Um, and yeah, that as you can see there, they topped the group. I believe Japan were the only team that actually beat them,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really tell a true story because neither Australia nor Japan took them as seriously as they should have. That's the thing. One thing I will say for Saudi Arabia, I don't think they're a team that are going to do anything at the tournament. But if um, you know, if Argentina or Mexico or Poland approach them with the attitude that we're approaching them, they could be in trouble because they're a team that can spring a shock on you if you don't give them respect.
That's entirely true. Speaking of which, we'll just look at their fixture breakdown. Let me just see if I can pull that up for us just now. Because as we've said, as much as anything, the fixture breakdown itself can be the thing that determines how the World Cup goes for a team. So if we look at this here,
Mm.
let me just zoom out a little bit. So as we said in the Argentina match, the opening match of Group C is Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Saudi
Mm.
Arabia then have Poland and then Mexico in the last fixture. Now, for me, that's slightly encouraging for them. I think their best chance of 3 points in this group, if they're going to get any wins, is against Poland. Again, I might be doing Poland a disservice here, but I think if you're a Saudi Arabia fan or if you're in the Saudi Arabia team, you would much rather face Poland in that middle fixture with a hope of getting 3 points and then having hope going into that last fixture against Mexico. If they're playing Mexico and Argentina in the first opening two matches, the World Cup's over for them before they've even got there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think Saudi are the weakest team in this group, but Mexico and Poland, I think, are fairly evenly matched, with Mexico having the slight edge, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
if you are the fourth ranked team in the group, and you're playing against the best team in the group, who are also one of the tournament favourites, I mean, you can make a similar comparison to when Celtic played Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right, we're playing them first. At least that gets it out the way. And then the middle fixtures were against Leipzig, who were the team that we were competing with to get second place. So if Saudi Arabia want to do anything, they realistically have to beat Poland in that second game. So Argentina is essentially a free hit. And then it's a case of, can they do anything to, if they could even get a draw with Poland, that might give them an outside chance going into that final game against Mexico. And again, the other thing is that this Saudi Arabia team, none of their players play out with the Gulf states region, right? So they are, the one advantage is that they are perhaps going to be better acclimatized to the conditions in Qatar than probably any other team apart from the Qataris themselves.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up as a point. Obviously, there's been a lot made of the climate and the potential fact that that teams coming from the Western world, shall we put it, are going to struggle with the heat, and that's why it's in November, and that's why they're talking about these air conditioned stadiums and things like that. Nobody, I think, has considered that flip side that you talked about of the Saudi Arabia team, particularly one that is based in the Gulf state region, as you said, of the potential advantage of them not having to acclimatise. While I don't think that is going to factor into them having a major impact in the tournament, do you see it maybe causing a potential upset against one of the teams in the group who's maybe not quite prepared?
Well, maybe not an upset, but I think it makes the games a bit more competitive. I mean, put it this way, Argentina might beat them 3-0 instead of 5-0, you know. But I think it at least gives them a better chance than they would have if the tournament was being played in like Germany or England or something like that, you know.
And one thing I have to say about Saudi Arabia, coming from two Scottish people who are also keen to do them down, when you actually look at their World Cup history, from what I can see here, they qualified in 94, 98, 2002, 2006 and 2018. So they've only missed 2 World Cups since 1994. And it was 94 in which they actually performed the best. Their debut performance, they got to the round of 16. They've been knocked out in the group stages every other time, but they did manage to get to the round of 16 in that one. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the throat today, but the other little tidbit fact that I'll give you just as an interesting talking point, Sami Al Jaber is not only the most successful Saudi striker at the FIFA World Cup to date, he has also managed to score in World Cups 12 years apart, 1994 and 2006. So that's an interesting point. Is there anybody looking at, is there a single player that you can point to in this Saudi squad that can be their Sami Al Jaber or somebody of that ilk that can maybe make a name for themselves at this tournament?
No. No. If I'm being honest, no. I struggle to find any of their players that stand out at all. They're playing for pretty high profile teams in the Arab world, but teams that would not last 10 minutes in a European game. It's unfortunate, you know. I mean, you want these countries where football is emerging to continue to grow.
Yeah.
But the harsh reality is that Saudi Arabia is because of the, shall we say, the socio-political background to the country, it's one that not a lot of people are really rooting for outside of Saudi. And as a result, there's not many foreign players who are keen to go there.
No.
And if you look at emerging nations at the moment, like 25 years ago, when the J League started in Japan, you had Gary Lineker, Pierre Littbarski, Zico, all of these legends going there and playing. And for about the first 3 or 4 years, I mean, Michael Laudrup played there for a while as well. It was all about these legendary players. But then as time got on, the Japanese players got better. Japan qualified for their first World Cup in '98, which was only 5 years after the launch of the J League. And they've qualified for every World Cup since. Unfortunately, until Saudi becomes a country that's a bit more hospitable to other cultures, I don't see the same thing happening with their league, because the money's definitely there. But I think if you're a multimillionaire footballer and you've got a choice between going to Los Angeles or going to Riyadh, you'll be like, I'll go to LA. You know?
And let's call a spade. I am about as far from a bra-burning feminist as you can get, but the fact that I'm even the person talking to you about this would probably not go down well in certain corners of Saudi Arabia either.
No, the fact that you've only got headphones on your head and not a scarf is probably an issue for a lot of them.
I didn't go that far, but okay.
Well, you know, that's what a lot of the issues there are about. I mean, do you drive a car?
I do.
Well, until 3 years ago in Saudi Arabia, you couldn't.
That's true. I mean, some would argue I still can't drive a car today, but let's not go into that. Listen, you know, for all the joking aside, as we've said about a couple of other teams at this World Cup, as we will no doubt say about a couple of teams coming up at this World Cup, regardless of political, social, moral objections that we may have, that is not something we will hold against the players or their manager in this World Cup. They are human beings who are going to do their best for their country, and I certainly, in isolation, wish the team all the best with what's going to be a very tough group.
And the fans as well. I hope they enjoy it. I hope they get, you know, even if if they just go 1-up on Argentina for 5 minutes or something, give them that wee bit of joy. Just let them have that wee bit of hope for at least a wee minute.
Yeah, if they're talking in 15 years about, remember that time we made Messi sweat? Yeah, that would be something else. But that said, we will leave it there. Saudi Arabia, neither of our favourites for the World Cup. I don't see them getting out the group or anything like it, but you never know. You never know. Liam, thank you for joining me, and we will see you for the next World Cup preview on Celtic Down Under.
See you then.